Good morning, students. Welcome to the next session of political science. This is the second presentation for political parties, chapter 6. As I have already told you about the revised syllabus, so we are going according to the revised syllabus. Now we have different kinds of party system, whichever democracy we talk about, whether it is a representative democracy or it is a monarchical democracy or any other form of democracy. We have a party system. There are some countries which has got just a single party system, double party system or a multi-party system. Now, when it is a single party, of course, we cannot call it as a democracy. So, but we do have such kind of countries which call themselves as a democracy, but the party system does not support this theory. There is no ideal number for any country that the ideal number of political parties should be so and so. It depends upon the diversity of the country. It depends upon the nature of democracy of that country. Now, in a one-party system, there only one party is allowed to control and run the government. For example, China. That is a communist party which allows only one party to rule. Now, if there is a one-party system, it does not support the very feature of democracy which says that citizens must have a choice to choose from. So there is no question of choice. So countries having one party system cannot be called as a democratic setup at any point of time because they do not give their citizens the right to choose. So that the election process carries no meaning in such countries. There are some countries which has got two-party systems. In a two-party system, only two main parties have a serious chance of winning elections and forming a government. Example, USA and UK. But remember, in these countries, it is not that there are smaller parties are not there. Smaller parties are there, but at the same time, these smaller parties do not have that much of chance, and it's only the two main parties. Now there are some countries like ours which has got a multi-party system. In a multi-party system, more than two parties have a reasonable chance of coming to power either on their own strength or in alliance with others. Now, alliance with others has got the same meaning which I have explained it while giving you examples of coalition government. So, since our country is having so many number of parties, therefore we have seen since the last few elections that not a single party is able to get that majority. Instead, we have a coalition government. Into a multi-party system, there are several parties which compete for power, and more than two parties have a reasonable chance of winning this. Since multi-party system tend to offer more choices to the voters, it is often considered better than the other systems. Now, this is one side of the coin, that it is a better form of government since there are too many choices. But if you see from the other point of view, since there are too many choices, no single party gets the majority and we end up having coalition government. And when we have a coalition government, there are chances that there would be difference of opinion, which we saw it in 1996 when Atal Bihari Vajpayee's government could survive only for 13 days. So there can be point of differences. Governments will topple and fresh elections will take place. And when we say fresh elections will take place, it means that fresh election is a burden on the economic setup because an election costs a lot of money. Now let's compare the two-party system with the multi-party system. In the two-party system, the voter has a simple choice of selecting either party A or party B, whereas in a multi-party system, the voters have an ample choice. There are too many parties with different manifesto which the voter can choose from. There are different parties echoing different kinds of view which the voter finds it relatable, and according to that the voter casts his vote. Two-party system provides for stable governance, whereas in multi-party system, the government is not stable. As I explained you earlier, that since there would be coalition governments, many parties together would form the government. Therefore, what happens? There would be difference of ideologies. Every political party before the election presents a manifesto. It is not that the parties have similar manifesto. Party A can talk about development by creating more jobs. Party B can talk about development by creating more or rather giving more facilities for agriculture. So creating more jobs might be setting up of industry which is contradictory to the agricultural unit, which is again setting up of so many industries, because setting up of industries destroys the farmland. So there can be, this is an example to explain to you that there can be difference of opinion within the party, within the governance, because of the existence of multi-party system. And because of this, there might be chances, there are chances rather, that the governments would not survive for a 5-year term. And when a government does not survive for a 5-year term, means re-election, which is a burden on the economy. The third point says, two-party systems are not as flexible because they have a more or less rigid set of opinion on every issues. Example, US and UK, whereas a multi-party system is more responsive to a change or shift in public opinion. Now, in a two-party system, the whole procedure is a little rigid because there are just two parties, whereas in a multi-party system, since there are a number of parties, they want to compete with each other, so they have to be a little more flexible. They are more responsive to the change. They are more adaptable to this change. Therefore, it is always considered that countries having multi-party system are the countries having better governance, are the countries having giving more weightage to its citizens, because a democratic setup is a setup where the citizen is to be considered as supreme. And in a multi-party system, it is believed that in a multi-party system that the citizens has got ample choices, therefore they are considered as supreme. Now we have two kinds of parties, that is the national party and the regional party. Now how does a party get the recognition of a national party? A party that secures at least 6% of total votes in Lok Sabha elections or assembly elections in 4 states and wins at least 4 seats in Lok Sabha is recognized as a national party. Now there are 7 national parties. There can be a change in the number of the national parties depending upon the clauses mentioned above. The 7 national parties are Indian National Congress, BJP, BSP, Communist Party of India, Communist Party of India Marxist, Bahujan Samajwadi Party, and All India Trinamool Congress. Now let me tell you about each party one by one. Congress Party of India, that is the Indian National Congress, was established in the year 1885 by Mr. A.O. Hume, and the first president was W.C. Banerjee. It was with the help of Dadabhai Naoroji and Dinshaw Wacha that the Indian National Congress was established. We have seen that this party was the major party in the Indian national freedom struggle and therefore remained in power many years after our freedom struggle. It was first time in 1977 that the INC had lost its power. The second national party is the Bharatiya Janata Party. Bharatiya Janata Party was established in 1990 by L.K. Advani, Atal Bihari Vajpayee, Bhairav Singh Shekhawat and Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. All these national parties have an election symbol, like the Indian National Congress has a symbol of hand or a palm, and the Bharatiya Janata Party has a symbol of lotus. The next national party is Bahujan Samajwadi Party, or we call it as BSP. This was established in the year 1984 by Kanshiram. At present, the president is Mayawati and the party symbol is that of an elephant. This party has worked mainly for the betterment and the upliftment of the downtrodden community, which they call it as. Bahujan means the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe and the OBCs, which they included under this. The next national party is All India Trinamool Congress. This was established in 1998 by Mamata Banerjee, who was an experienced leader within the Indian National Congress. She had difference of opinion at that time with the INC and therefore moved out of Indian National Congress and formed another party in 1998. This basically wins election in West Bengal zone. And it was at the same time that the Nationalist Congress Party was also established roughly around the same time when Mr. Sharad Pawar, again an experienced Congress leader, had moved out of Congress and formed the NCP, which is very much popular in the Maharashtra zone. The other nationalist party is the Communist Party of India and the Communist Party of India Marxist. There is a slight difference between the ideologies, but one is called as CPI and the other is CPIM. CPI was established in the year 1925 and at present D. Raja is the president of it. The symbol of CPI and CPIM is almost similar. Both the parties have sickle. CPI has a sickle with corns into it and CPIM has a sickle with hammer and a small star. CPIM was established in 1964 and at present Sitaram Yechury is the president of CPIM. Now there is one more party which has joined much later, which was established in the year 2013 by P.S. Sangama, that is NPP. This was established by P.S. Sangama. This party is more popular in Manipur, though it has attained or fulfilled the criteria of the national parties and therefore it remains as a national party. Other than the national parties, most of the major parties of the country are classified by the Election Commission as state parties, commonly known as regional parties also. These parties need not be regional in their ideology or outlook, as some of them are all India parties that happen to succeed only in some states like Biju Janata Dal, Sikkim Democratic Front, Mizo National Front. So it is not that these parties are not national into their policies, but it is that they do not classify under the national parties with the criteria given by the Election Commission. Therefore, they are called as the state parties or the regional parties. Some of them have been quite popular, like I mentioned before, Biju Janata Dal or Sikkim Democratic Front, Mizo National Front. These parties have been very popular into their respective states and have also been able to win Lok Sabha seats, but still are not considered as national party. Now when we talk about national parties, the state unit of these national parties are in sync with the national policy. It is not that in state they remain as a regional party. The policies of the national parties in the state also remain the same. So do not get confused with this. The state units also follow the same policies and strategies that are decided at the national level. Now every party in the country has to register with the Election Commission, which gives them a unique election symbol. This election symbol is to be utilized on all the ballot papers and all the party papers. This symbol is a unique symbol which is not to be used by any other party. So for this session, I think I'll wrap up here. We'll continue with the challenges which the national parties face, and with the reformation in the parties, the amendments which has been made, I would be discussing it into the next session of political parties. For this session, up till here would do. Kindly write the running notes into your notebook. Kindly write all the PDF notes which I would be sending along with this video into your notebooks. Thank you all children. Stay safe, stay blessed.